Yeah, this feels like more something when you're going into a major WWE pay-per-view, maybe even a WrestleMania one, where this is a moment where they use the word callback. Basically, this entire promo, but not the entire one, because I'm going to pick it apart. Because there's a few things in here that are a bit suspect and don't have the analogy, a one-to-one analogy of Punk's pipe bomb promo. But man, this was one of the best promos I've ever seen, and one of the best promos Cena has ever cut. The problem with it is right off the bat, not even the logistics. The people are starting to love John Cena now.
Yeah, it was too good.
they were cheering for the lines. They remembered. I mean, you have to say something about the wrestling fans remembering the pipe bomb promo without a package, without all this other stuff. You have to give credit that Punk's pipe bomb was that memorable that every time John Cena hit those notes to Twisted, that people reacted. That means they remember Punk's promo. That's something right there. That's 14 years ago. There's people watching the show that weren't even born when Punk cut that promo. So let's give both sides of the pipe bomb promo, both versions, the credit they both deserve, but especially Punk's right there. So what should we talk about first? Should we talk about the words, or should I talk about kind of how this is a what went wrong or what went wrong on purpose? Because I have a feeling that Hunter and other people sabotage Punk to a degree. Two ways.
Let's take it straight from the beginning.
Two ways, the Saudi show and this promo.
Let's do it chronologically then. From the okay, so John Cena puts CM Punk through a table splattered with Slim Jim, advertising all over it. We did that last week, by the way. Do you want me to run through little bits and you just stop me, or?
I do. Yeah, if you can do that. I will say hit him with the belt before the table bump, so there's two different things to sell. But for 11 minutes. We aren't going to get there yet. Let's start in the beginning.
Hey, John Cena doesn't hate Punk. Cena says nobody in the locker room likes Punk, but says that Cena actually does. And then he says the word bullshit. And then he breaks it. And you go, whoops, John Cena swearing, that kind of thing. They didn't bleep it on Netflix as well, which I appreciate. And then this is already a callback from the original pipe bomb where CM Punk said, I don't even hate you, John Cena. It's a complete callback. And then he once again calls back and says, I'm breaking the fourth wall. And he starts waving into the camera. And then Punk changes his values more than Cena changes his T-shirts. That's going to be referring to Saudi Arabia that we'll sort of do, I guess, in the next segment of this. But then Cena once again grabs Stu. I think he names one of the cameramen by name. I can't remember if it's the first or second time.
Stu's a good guy, and he used to do the Stu thing when he said, come here, Stu, and hold the thing up and run to the ring. So he always gave credit to Stu. He's a longtime camera guy. I don't know if Marty Miller and other people were there, but Stu's been there since the day I was there. So that's a Charles Robinson, Mike Chioda run he's got going.
Yeah. Is he like a fairly big guy, black hair?
No, he's just actually a short guy with brown hair parted this way, mustache, goatee. That's Marty Miller, is the tall, dark-haired one.
Yeah. Cena then turns to the camera and then says hello to Claudio Castagnoli, Nick Nemeth, and Matt Cardona. This is in reference to... maybe I'm just being a bit dense. Was Cena referring to himself stepping on people's necks to get to the top, and then referencing Claudio, Nick Nemeth, and Matt Cardona?
I don't even know. The name that would have stuck out to me, if that was the intention of saying those names, would have been Alex Riley, number one, first and foremost. I don't know if Punk stepped on them, because I thought Punk was really good friends with Matt Cardona back in the day as Zack Ryder. Him and Dolph Ziggler got along, and then the Claudio thing is just weird too. Maybe there's some heat back in ROH with Claudio and Punk, because they were both there at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's Cena referencing people he so-called stepped on the necks to get. But then I would have mentioned Wade Barrett. I would have mentioned possibly Jake Hager, because Jake Hager really still doesn't like John Cena.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Issues, yeah. There's quite a few people, because I was researching this for someone else, who have said on interviews that they had an issue with John Cena during the Super Cena era. Maybe even Ken Kennedy, Mr. Anderson.
Let's say this. Punk that this is the direct analogy to Punk's pipe bomb promo of saying hi to Colt Cabana, which at the time you don't think now, but they were tight. They were like brothers back then. Do you think he's giving credit to three people who deserve to be back in WWE? Is it the other way around?
I thought exactly that, because Claudio gets quite a big reaction. Nick Nemeth maybe slightly less, but then the crowd cheers the most, to my ear, for Matt Cardona. He was never even Matt Cardona. I mean, neither was Claudio or Nick Nemeth, I guess. But, you know, WWE exclusive fans will know him as Zack Ryder. That's a testament to Matt, who has never been signed by TNA or AEW or anything, but just has his name out there so much that he's getting the biggest cheer of the three.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I think we should probably, now that we're talking it through, I think those are three people. If you're talking about the Punk promo, you're giving credit to somebody that's not in the company anymore that probably should be back, because Punk also, during the contract signing with Vince, was talking about how he fired, you know, Colt Cabana, he fired Luke Gallows, and called those names up. So I think Cena's putting these guys over. That's just my impression based on what Punk did with Cabana.
Matt was already on a wrestling show over the weekend, I guess, or whenever it was, and he already looked into the camera, climbed the ropes, and said, "Hi, John," and so he's already done his own version of that as well. So who knows? I mean, because Matt has said several times on interviews as of recent, he's still a bit astounded that neither WWE or AEW has come a calling, and he's made it very clear that he wants to be back into one of those companies and have like one more major run. So
that could be
maybe
the
this
reason
might
why.
be the thing to bring you back.
That could be the reason why they're not. It's the wrestling thing, like the playing God thing. And I think I just feel like there's something back when Hunter was a worker and with Zack Ryder, and there's still those bad feelings of how dare you get over on your own. They don't like that, man. And now they hate him even more because he got over without even the WWE name. I really do believe that.
No longer the voice of the voiceless, Cena accuses CM Punk of being. Punk is a millionaire, a capitalist, and a TKO booster. That's an interesting line. Purely because surely there's no bigger WWE/TKO booster than John Cena at the moment, I guess. But, I mean, maybe he's got a point. Maybe they're both as corporate as each other at this point. There is no Punk
But isn't
left.
that the problem? What you're talking about now is a heel John Cena getting cheered for reciting the lines in a 2022 like twist off of the 2011 or whatever it was pipe bomb promo by Punk. You're speaking a truth that's going to make people cheer you now and not cheer Punk. That's why I'm thinking there's something here that, because nothing is like, they might have given Cena the leeway to curse, to ad-lib, to whatever, but this has to be bullet points based off of that promo. And you just like literally, the guy's name is Punk, Underground, Raw, and you just exposed him for being a multi-millionaire who Punk even said, "I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money," with the initial promo, which got cheered, which is really weird. It just feels all a little suspect, and it might not be like one line here, one line there, where Cena's positioned as opposed to Punk. That's a big point where we're going to get to. But it feels like the death of Punk's underground status by 1,000 paper cuts. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it could be, definitely. Because even in AEW, even though he was the top star, yeah, I guess there's something a bit different.
They're taking his edge away. They're taking the edge away.
Yeah, but in fairness, Punk could have taken his own edge away just by re-signing with WWE.
Good point.
There's always that thing where, well, some people would argue that after everything WWE did to Punk allegedly over the years, that you know, sending him a writ or a lawsuit or whatever it was, on his wedding day, and he'd never go back. And now he's back.
Well, there's two things he said he'd never do, and he's doing the second one as well.
What's that?
Going to Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely. We're going to be mentioning that in a minute. So back to Cena. He said, "Your tweets are strong, your actions are weak." John Cena then says that he is the greatest of all time, and it gets a huge ovation. And then a couple of times just before he ends it all, he mentions, and you'll know where I'm going with this. Was it Grand Rapids they were in? He mentions the town twice, which will always get a good reaction. So are you diving down the conspiratorial rabbit hole here and saying that's just a couple more paper cuts of whittling away CM Punk's popularity?
Well, that and another thing that's been proven time and time again in certain situations where Cena, in a way, Kevin Sullivan used to use this saying with Hogan, show your name card. That's a Japanese thing, I believe. You show your status.
Two hands.
What's that? No, two hands?
Yeah. You hand your name card to somebody with two hands as a sign of respect.
Oh, very good. Well, Cena wasn't doing the respect part here, but what Cena was doing, and who did he do this with? Austin Theory, Roman Reigns, and a few other times that I can't recall right now. But those two times when Cena is thought to be, oh, you're watered down, you're not as good as you were, here's the new generation, we're doing that, or they try to go low on Cena or say something, Cena comes right back and eviscerates them. So I think the ovation, the town name, is maybe showing Punk and maybe even showing WWE and TKO, I'm still the top guy if I want to be. I can take this microphone and I can stand above anybody else. And he's literally said that to Roman Reigns. Oh, all this time, you finally learned how to cut a promo. Thank God. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Or even the Austin Theory. You know, oh, I have a bald spot, but guess what else? And he eviscerates that kid. So I think he was trying to flex in a way to show, is this your favorite? Because I can totally just dress him down in like 10 seconds right now. I can take control. Did you feel that? Like, you think I'm done? Look at this. I'll show you.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'll show you. I'm wondering if this is a TKO thing or a WWE thing, or is this a Cena thing, or if this is all mapped out with Punk say so as well to give Cena an edge. Because I think a lot of people after WrestleMania have sort of just this Cena heel thing isn't working, man. Because there's nothing organic about it. It made no sense. There was no rhyme or reason for it. There was originally, but then The Rock disappeared. But it's just like sort of like, I don't know, like a second stab at giving the heel turn some real meaning and some real bite.
This is working, but you know what's working to do? Making the fans love John Cena. He's cool now. This is the same thing that happened to Roman Reigns. He was so cool and he was so smooth and he was so confident that you had to like him, even though he's a heel. I see the same thing with Cena. I don't know if could we potentially get, and it's too soon because Cena has to have his run, then his road to redemption towards the end and retire as a babyface. If this was timed differently and we were talking about Cena had maybe a couple months left, I could see a double turn happening like a Bret and Austin thing. And maybe we will still get a double turn. Maybe, just maybe, now Punk, who we guessed with the WrestleMania thing, or actually Backlash, I was guessing that Punk was going to sell his soul to The Rock and Punk was going to be a heel. Could we still get that alternative turn and that alternative storyline going? Because I dare say Cena's more popular than ever after this promo.
Do you know, that would probably do John Cena better, because I guess as a heel, I mean, I'm not a worker, I'll never be a worker, so you correct me, obviously. You are more physical more of the time. As the babyface, you can fight from underneath, you can be the one being in the sleeper, you can be the one getting beaten down for the majority of the match. Therefore, physically, and it's obvious that John Cena's struggling physically, it would suit him physically to be a babyface wrestling rather than a heel.
Yeah, and you're talking about gears too. And if, as a heel, he has certain gears, and then the highest gear has to be you bumping and feeding. And John's a pretty big, thick dude, so bumping and feeding is kind of hard to do at that pace to pick it up. Of course, Punk is also advanced in age as well, so you have to measure this out. This is kind of like you talked about the Triple H Undertaker match on that King of the Ring 2002 on Patreon. Similar styles, similar gears, similar moveset. Some kinds can make for a boring match. You need to have the difference right there. I think it can't go without saying that we should talk about the logistics unless you want to go through the rest of the promo and really talk about this, because it ties into him selling for 11 minutes, Cena in the ring. That's a big discrepancy from the original pipe bomb where Punk was on the stage. Also, if you want to split hairs, Cena's table bump in the corner with the table over him, it looked like more carnage that he was underneath. Here it just looks like Punk is literally taking an 11-minute nap. And Cena's like 4 feet away from him, like over him on the turnbuckle. Punk was at a distance. Cena had a close-up. This literally looked like Cena is just standing over Punk's lifeless body for 11 minutes, taunting him. And Punk is becoming more unconscious as time goes on. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, 11 minutes is a hell of an acting job. I'll give it to Punk. Because, like, to continuously go, to grimace for 11 minutes straight in a live setting, that's difficult.
I would want to roll over and start crawling towards Cena slowly to at least have a visual that I'm trying to get to him. But laying there, and like, this is where we talked about on the Russo show. This is where we're at a point where, once again, are we hitting that alternative theory kind of territory? Nobody sells anything anymore. Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes were hitting finishes on each other and getting up and firing up afterwards. Now in the same week, 3 days later, you expect Punk to sell for 11 minutes. Let's use another analogy. 1-to-1 with the table bumps. Rhea Ripley takes the table bump off of Raquel Rodriguez, off the Tejana bomb, right? But was it the next segment? She's on her feet yelling at Adam Pearce. You're left with Punk still laying there as Cena takes his time and says, "Hey, USA, you can keep the other 2.5 minutes. I don't need them." Okay?
Do you think this is all, and I know you do you think this is all carefully, carefully worked out to make Punk look weak?
Yes. I think Triple H is so petty that he has not forgotten. He never forgets this. Or they just want to teach him a lesson as a company that, like Vince used to famously say, he said it to Russo when he came back in 2002. He said it to multiple people, and you've probably heard this in multiple shoot interviews. You got to eat crap, pal. This is Punk eating crap. And maybe they lulled them into a couple of false senses of security with the Drew McIntyre promo, which I think is both their best work to date. Punk and Drew as far as a blood feud. And then we're going to give you the main event night 1 of WrestleMania. Of course, you're going to be a gloss over because Seth is turning and going with Heyman and making the match completely forgettable. Do you agree with that assessment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully Drew will come back soon enough, but where do you think this whole storyline with John Cena and CM Punk really is going? Because it can't be completely effective without knowing all the backstory to it. And because WWE, I don't even know why WWE would book this as a storyline, because essentially the issue between CM Punk and John Cena's said it more overtly on social media than on television, obviously, is that Punk once called The Miz whatever he called him, and then said that he was accepting blood money for appearing on Saudi Arabia shows. Cut to 5 years later, CM Punk is apparently accepting blood money, as he terms it, to appear at Saudi Arabia shows. So the criticism he once levelled at The Miz, he is now the thing that he once hated.
Yeah.
Is that one of those things where, and that could turn into a heel turn? You live long enough to, you either die a hero or live long enough to be the villain.
We're going to complete each other's sentences. You got to see The Dark Knight. You said you haven't seen it, or is that The Dark Knight Rises?
I saw it at the cinema.
Oh, Dark Knight Rises. Is that the one you have?
Yeah, I
still like it. It holds up. Yeah, you die a hero, or you live long enough to become the villain. Or you tweet as a hero, and then you accept the booking to become the villain. How's that? Yeah, I mean, that could all play into a Punk heel turn because it's the only place to get Punk as over or more over. You know why? Punk is in the worst spot ever that you can be in as a babyface with a guy who just turned heel, just won the world title, still has somewhat of a little bit of an angle with Cody, and is on a retirement tour. And you're one of the first challengers. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. They set up Punk to fail.
How many times is the heavyweight?
They set him up to fail.
How many? Do you know, funnily enough, do you know who wrote about that many years ago? Bret Hart in his book, You Never Want to Be the First Challenger.
Never. Never want to be. That's the Stevie Richards spot of title shots. It really is. That's like debut. Randy Orton debuts on Raw. I'm in the ring. Oh, that Punk might as well do that in Saudi Arabia. The Barrio.
Do you think that as soon as Punk, this is getting really conspiratorial, whoever went up to him or suggested, Punk, will you appear at Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia, and he agreed, do you think somewhere in the back someone said, we've got him?
I think they might have said we got him. I think they
word.
said they might have got him when they signed him back. This company and the wrestling business in general, for people that don't know, by the way, screw me over like that. Putting Punk in these positions is still more than 75-80% of the roster. And it's a lot of blood money. It's a lot of blood money. So he could be like, and Punk, for all we know, this could be based off of the lawsuit. And he said he spent like maybe $2 million on that lawsuit or something way back. This could be replenishing his bank account, his investments, his retirement fund. He could be back into, we don't know what kind of deal they signed him to. He's essentially, this is a Tommy Dreamer line, and I'll say it in his voice because people enjoy it. Did you know, Wacko, they're paying you for your misery? They're paying you for your misery. They're paying you a lot for your misery. I tell you what, compared to a person working 12-hour shifts for minimum wage, that's misery. What you're being paid for is an entitlement. It's a gift. So you can play on this. I just think right now the only way Punk is going to stay as over as he right now, outside of winning the title at Night of Champions, not going to happen. But to turn him heel right now and say Cena was right, I am a capitalist, I am a bullshitter, I'm all these things, and I love it. And you know what the weird part about that is? He'll be more popular than ever and sell more merch than ever.
Do you know, the thing with Punk is I think he still is the most divisive person in wrestling. Because, like, if you have an opinion of him, it's generally a strong opinion. And I'm not sure how many people would be swayed. But that goes into his favour, really. He's one of the few wrestlers, few performers today that can still engender that kind of, like, real visceral, emotion for.
Are you talking about with the fans or the boys or both?
With the fans. No, well, maybe both, but with the fans especially, yeah.
Well, when they stop cheering you, when they stop booing you, that's when you got to get scared. When they stop reacting to anything you do. Being polarizing is better than being like, yeah, he's okay. That's the worst.